Those magnets get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's right. And feel those magnets pulling together and trying together, pulling together.
Does that look good so far? Out in the street, doing some street hypnosis, 2 girls at the same time this week, and we're answering a question from a comment in the comment section of a video a few weeks ago asking, well, how do you know when someone's in hypnosis? I'm going to answer that question and a few more. I'm going to show you who made that comment inside, so keep watching and find out. Hi, it's Turan here for Feel Good Hypnosis. I'm a hypnotist and clinical hypnotherapist, and this week I'm answering a couple of questions. I got this comment from AB. I don't know what AB stands for, but AB, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but thanks for dropping that comment in the comment section below one of the videos from a few weeks ago. And in that comment, he asked the question. Let me read it out for you. Great video. Good way to start comment. Always love it when you tell me how wonderful it is. Great video. I had a question. I'm basically a beginner at hypnosis. Most people have to start somewhere, so great that you're watching my channel to find out about hypnosis. So my question, you know how you tell people when you say sleep, you're not going to fall asleep. You're just going to let everything drop and relax. So how do you know when someone is in a hypnotic state? How do you know when someone's in a hypnotic state? A great question, and we're going to answer that. I'm going to play you a clip of a lovely street hypnosis induction with an expansion onto the first skit, and even a suggestibility test before that. I'm going to break that video down after you watch the video clip, so stay tuned after the video to make sure you watch it. AB also asked a second question. Say you deepen their trance for a couple of minutes with the walking down the steps metaphor. How do you know they're ready for a suggestion? How to know and when to start the name forgetting suggestion, for example. Now, he was talking about the name forgetting suggestion that I had placed in the video he was commenting against. I'll put a link to that up in the info bars above so you can check that video out later. But basically, how do you know when to put a suggestion together? I'm going to answer both. When do you know when someone's in a hypnotic state, and when's the best time to put a hypnotic suggestion in? I'm going to answer those straight after this video clip, but let's watch the video first. And don't forget, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, make sure you give it a like, and don't forget to click the big red subscribe button and click the bell notification button next to that subscribe button so you get notified every time a new video comes out from Feel Good Hypnosis. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments about this video or any video, please leave it in the comments section below. The reason I'm featuring AB this week is because, well, they placed a comment in a comments section of a previous video, and it was a great question. It's a almost obvious question. How do you know this stuff's working? But I'm going to answer that later on. In the meantime, let's watch the video.
Okay, so if you just set your bags down somewhere safer, we'll keep an eye on them. Okay, so we'll start off, we'll stand with you back to there, that's just so the camera can see. So we'll start off with, like, as Jonathan said, just a little suggestibility test to see how good your imagination is, because if you don't have a good imagination, you won't be hypnotized anyway. And I think you already have a good imagination with the lovely costume you have today.
Thank you.
So put your hands out like this here. Clasp your hands together, interlock your fingers tight, 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 squeeze tight, tight, tight. Bend your elbows like you want to say a prayer, and you don't need to say a prayer, but you know what I mean, it's just like that. Okay, now in a moment, not yet, in a moment I'm going to ask you to put your 2 fingers up like this here. When you do, I just want you to imagine that there's little tiny magnets on the tips of your fingers. I just want you to imagine there's little tiny magnets on the tips of your fingers, and notice what happens when you imagine that. Okay, so are you ready? 1, 2, 3, fingers up, and as I click my fingers, just let those magnets get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's right. And feel those magnets pulling together and trying together, pulling together. That tells me already you have a wonderful imagination, and you were even faster, weren't you?
Yeah,
wow.
Immediately.
Okay, let's try it. I know, I could see that, okay? So once again, this is not about fighting. If you really don't want it, stop trying it. But if you want to be open to it, enjoy the experience, because you're always in control. Nothing's going to come out that you don't want it to come out. You're not going to do anything that you don't want to do. Okay? Will we move on?
Yeah.
Put your hands out like this here once again. Keep your fingers nice and tight together. Good stuff. And stare at my finger right in between your 2 palms, okay? Stare at that finger and imagine that finger as you close your eyes down. Just imagine that finger right between those 2 hands. So close your eyes down now and imagine that finger there. And as you imagine that, imagine there's very strong magnets in the palms of your hands. Very strong magnets magnets in the palms of your hands. And once again, as I click my fingers, feel those magnets getting stronger and stronger, and tugging and pulling and pulling and tugging and tugging and pulling together. And feel those magnets getting stronger still now that those hands have touched. Feel those magnets getting stronger still. And the palms stick together and the fingers stick together. And just imagine now that almost as if those hands are carved from a single piece of wood. And as you imagine now those hands are carved from a single piece of wood, it's almost like they are one. Locked and stuck together, cemented together, carved from a single piece of wood. And in a minute I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When they get to the number 5, I want you to try and pull those hands apart. But they're going to be so stuck together that you will not be able to move those hands. The more you try, the more those stick. So 1, feeling them sticking together tighter and tighter. 2, locking and sticking together. 3, even heavier. 4, so tight, so carved from a single piece of wood they will not part. And 5, try now and pull those hands apart and find they're locked and stick together. Try and pull those hands and find they're locked and stick together. Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
It is.
It's terrifying.
Because you're already in hypnosis, so close your eyes down now and your legs will support you and your back will support you. And when I say the word sleep, your hands will drop down your side, your head will drop down to your chest, and you'll just go into an even deeper state of trance. So 1, 2, 3, and sleep now. Deeper, 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 relax. The deeper you go, the more relaxed you feel it. Relax, you feel it deeper you go, drifting, sinking down, even deeper still. And letting all the sounds around you, the music in the background, help you absorb you into this wonderful state that you're in now. And then I count from 10 down to 1. With every count, I count double that feeling of relaxation that you have. So 10, going deeper now. 9, doubling that relaxation. 8, even deeper still. 7, so deep, so relaxed. By the time I get to the number 1, your unconscious will take you to the place that even I couldn't take you to. So deep, so relaxed that everything I suggest will become your reality. And 5, so deep, so relaxed, so comfortable in that position. 3, and 2, so deep, way down, 10 times deeper, and 1. In a minute I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and the count of 3 you can open your eyes and be back with us. But you'll be so relaxed, so comfortable in this position. It's going to be like your feet are stuck to the floor. And every time I say the word sleep or deeper sleep, your head will drop down to your chest, your eyes will close, and you'll double this feeling of relaxation. Nod your head that you understand. Every time I say the word sleep or deeper sleep, your eyes will close, your head will drop down to your chest, and you'll go even deeper still. So 1, 2, 3, open your eyes, and sleep now. Way down, doubling that relaxation. Feel those feet locking and sticking to the ground, locking and sticking, cemented to the ground, like their feet are part of those tiles, like they're one with those tiles. You will not be able to move your feet. And the more you try and move your feet, the more those feet will just lock and stick in position. So 1, 2, 3, open your eyes. Feeling good?
Yeah.
Now go ahead now and try and move your feet. Really try. Really try. What's that like?
I feel like
really try. The harder you try,
my boots.
that's it. Feels like 10 tons, like they're locked and stuck to the floor. Really try. Really try. The harder you try, the harder they stick.
I'm like using
And look at me, and sleep now. Way down, even deeper, even more relaxed. Letting the sound of the music help you absorb you even deeper into trance.
So I hope you liked that video. That was a great video, and what a wonderful video that was. So let's look through this video. First of all, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, and I played it right from the video recording start, you see me making sure that the girls' possessions, their bags that they were carrying at this event, were safely tucked out away so they weren't going to be tripped over by someone else and cause a trip hazard for someone else, and also that they were somewhere in sight of either myself or the camera person so that nobody's going to steal the stuff. That's obviously important. If someone's standing there thinking, is someone going to stand on my bag with a phone in it and break it, or if someone's going to trip over it, you know, and carry it off on the end of their foot, they're not going to be focused on relaxing and getting into the hypnosis. So this is not just about looking after their stuff, it's making sure they're paying attention to me, the hypnotist. So it's, yes, it's health and safety. Yes, it's looking after their possessions, because again, you're responsible to some level for that while you're working with them and doing some street hypnosis. We start off with this, what's called a suggestibility exercise, or some people call it a suggestibility test. I don't like the word test. Sometimes I will interchange with that word because most people call it a suggestibility test. A test implies there's a pass-fail mark. You know, you get over 40% and you're passed. There's no pass or fail in this test. This is suggestibility exercise. It's something you ask them to do so that you can calibrate and measure their responsiveness. Whether they do exactly what you ask or don't do exactly what they ask, you're getting information, and it doesn't stop someone from being hypnotized if they don't do well. And this video had a nice example of two people that were doing things at both ends of the spectrum, and as you saw through the video, they were both well, and accepting suggestions after that. So it's just a guideline, it's just a means of gathering information. Key things I want to point out is you're not measuring the speed at which they come together. As you saw, the girl in white, her fingers came together very quickly, whereas the girl in blue took a long time for those fingers and had to keep talking through to get her fingers to come together. So each girl had a different response, but you're not measuring the speed. What you're measuring is really the excitement, the connection, the enthusiasm with which they do it. Now, I'm not making their fingers come together. Their own body's making their fingers come together, so I'm not controlling their fingers. I'm not controlling their minds in any of this. So when they're going, oh, wow, this is fantastic, they're surprising and amazing themselves with what their own body's doing. So I hope that makes sense. Your unconscious mind, your body is doing it, and you're surprised at how good your unconscious mind is. And that's really the sort of measurement that one of the things we're calibrating for when we're doing the finger magnets. Now, you can use this finger magnets process to hypnotize someone straight off the bat. You don't just need to use it, as I did in this situation, as an exercise before you go into a different induction. One of the things I'll point out is when the girl whose fingers were moving very fast, she says, wow, my fingers went really fast there. And I said, they did, didn't they? And she says, yes. I'm building up a yes set. I'm building up a rapport with her to get a connection by agreeing with what she's doing and echoing back what she's doing. So there's more just a subtlety and there's no real subtlety in what I'm doing there. There's a purpose to every language pattern that I'm using with every phrase that's coming out of my mouth. Likewise, notice that the girl who was in the blue dress, whose fingers came very slowly together, she actually says, I don't know if you can hear it clearly, but if you play it back, you'll hear it. She says, I was actually fighting it. Now, I could have covered that in some pre-talk. And that would be all well and good to say, look, don't fight it and all this here. I go on to say that. I says, nothing's going to happen that you don't want it to happen. So don't fight the experience, enjoy the experience. So it gives me an opportunity to layer in that pre-talk before the formal induction. But you don't need to, do a pre-talk right up front all the time. As you saw, I didn't. You saw from the start of the filming, and I just said, put your bags down, and we went straight into it. There was no off-camera pre-talk there. The reason being, if you do the suggestibility test or suggestibility exercise, as I call it, and their fingers move slowly, whether they say I was fighting it, you say maybe you were fighting it, and I don't want you to fight it. That exercise gives you an opportunity to input additional pre-talk. It gives you an opportunity to see whether they are fighting it or not. Because bottom line is their fingers will come together sooner or later, and if they don't come, within a decent period of time, then there's the suggestion that they are worried about something, they're fighting against it, they're afraid of what's happening inside. But as you saw, by the end of that suggestibility exercises, they were giggling, they were laughing, they were amazement, they were sort of looking at each other going, wow, wasn't that cool? So that tells me that they've warmed up to the idea that this is going to work. Okay, so this is what you get out of that sort of exercise. It gives you an indication that they're going to be happy enough to be hypnotized and move on to the next level. So I move on to the magnetic hands induction. Similar to the magnetic fingers, but now using the hands. And again, notice how I had to say, close your eyes down, and really ask them to close their eyes down. It's not that they were being resistive, I don't think. They were just so, what's going to happen next? They probably weren't listening carefully. And again, this is always good feedback, always good calibration. It tells me whether they are listening intently. And look at their faces. Look at how intently they're listening to the instructions. And again, these are great green flags that they are listening. They want this, whatever's happening next, to happen. And again, look out for those subtleties, look out for those signs, as opposed to that, looking around at everything else but you, not really paying attention, asking you to say, "What? Can you say that again? I missed that." If you get any of those signs, that's a suggestion that they're not really that into it. But these girls clearly are, so that's a good sign. Moving on to the magnetic hands, as I say, the induction. And right from the beginning, I want to answer the question, the second question from AB first, which is, how do you know when to make suggestions? There's no physical phenomenon which will make their hands come together. So right from the start, I'm making a suggestion. Your hands will come together. That's a suggestion. That's not a fact of life. I'm stating it like it's a fact. Your hands will come together, but it's a suggestion because there's nothing. You can stand there all day with your hands like this here. They won't mysteriously and magically pull together. It's only when your unconscious mind accepts that as a suggestion will your hands come together. So to answer the second question first, when do you start making suggestions? All the time. Everything that you say to the person you're hypnotizing is a suggestion, is a request. It's not a command or an order. It's a suggestion or a hypnotic request that in a moment your hands will start together. That's a suggestion. Okay? And as I said a moment ago, in terms of the suggestibility exercise, you constantly need to be calibrating people. This is why the exercise is good, because you can measure their responses right from the beginning, so that, notice, by the time I say your hands are carved from a single piece of wood, once again, look at her face here. She's really focused and relaxed in that state. So there's, it's clear that she's there already. She's in that state of trance. This is coming to question one. When do you know someone's in that hypnotic state? I haven't completed the deepener yet. I haven't gone through the complete induction yet. I haven't done any fractionization. And yet that girl is sort of really focused on her hands. So there's no one particular point in the process where you say, this is when they are in hypnosis. They take themselves into hypnosis when they want to and when they're ready to. And it can be very quickly and way ahead of the process that you might be following through. So it's not important to know when it happens, as long as when you test, the test passes. And I say that, come on to that, the test is really the first skit that you run with these people and then see how responsive they are to that test. And I can't stress enough the importance of this idea of calibrating people all the way through, from the moment you meet them, before any hypnosis or intent of hypnosis has started. You're noticing their facial expressions, their relaxed state, because as you'll see, the girl in white and the girl in the blue dress are reacting and responding quite differently, each in their own way. So there's no one thing to be seen from every single person. And even in this small group of just two people, we've got two very different reactions, but both of them are giving us feedback all the time. Part of the induction, and it doesn't have to be done, but in this case, even though their hands were coming together and they were sort of, you could see their hands shaking, it was clear that they were in some way stuck together already, but I gave them some time to really let that idea sink in. So I count them through 5. 1, the feeling of hands getting stuck together. 2, getting stuck tighter and tighter, etc. So I'm giving them space inside their mind to really feel that. Now, their response is, when I say try and pull your hands apart, they go, this is funny, this is scary, this is terrifying, I think one person says. They're saying this is terrifying, but they're not looking afraid or frightened. Again, it's important to listen to the words and calibrate their body language. If they're scared about it, you need to stop and you just take a step back, because you don't want to put fear in anyone, because this is a fun experience and the experience is happening from within them at an unconscious level. I have not stuck their hands together. I've given them a suggestion. Their unconscious mind has accepted that suggestion, and their own body is making their hands feel like they will not come apart. So at that point, I'm happy to tell them, well, you're in hypnosis. And it's clearly they are. If they can't move their hands, their unconscious mind is being engaged and it's doing things beyond their conscious awareness, and they're in hypnosis. Now I tell them to close their eyes down. Do you need eye closure? I'm always saying this in videos, you don't need eye closure, but it doesn't hurt because we just don't want them. As you saw throughout that video there was dancers in the background, people moving around. We just don't want distractions at this point to really get them into that best state of hypnosis. They're already there, but I just want to reinforce that and deepen it as I do. I then count them down and then do some fractionalization. Again, all the way along here, I'm constantly calibrating. I'm opening their eyes and then closing them down, and look at the difference in expression. When they open their eyes, they're like this here, and then as soon as I say close your eyes, they're in a more relaxed state. And again, that's giving me good feedback that they're in a different state between eyes open and eyes closed, and in that deep state. So I'm very confident at this stage, without testing, that they are in hypnosis, but you've got to test. And the only way to test is run a first skit. So you see me run that first skit. I tell them when they open their eyes, their feet will be stuck to the floor, cemented to the floor. They will not be able to move. It's like their shoes are part of that floor, etc. And when they open their eyes, look at the giggles. You know, one of the girls is almost hyperventilating with excitement and amazement. All very positive signs that they just cannot move their feet. And the camera pans down, you can see they just can't move their feet. And all the feedback is, it's been accepted. That's the final test. Really, as much as I'm reading them all the way along, as much as I have lots of experience, that's the first time I really know that I have got through their unconscious mind. Yeah, there's a lot of signals along the way. They've already had their hands stuck. They've already accepted the various suggestions, the differences in the expression between eyes open and eyes closed. All good signals, all good signs, but the proof of the pudding is when you take it out of the oven, and this is the moment, the end of the process and the first skit. I hope that answers AB's question, or questions. It's fun making this video, and thanks very much. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, make sure you give it a like, and don't forget, click the big red subscribe button so you get notified. Click the bell notification button, and you'll get notified every time a new video comes out from myself. And if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below, because I might be featuring your question next time. If it's a cool, interesting comment, if it's something quick I can answer in one-liner, I'll maybe just reply in a comment, but I might just feature you in a future video. So please do leave those comments in the comment section below. Before I go, just want to add in one little bit of health and safety. Yeah, the boring stuff. At times you'll see me looking around. I take my eyes off them, but I'm always keeping them in my peripheral vision. As you saw there, they were laughing so much when their feet were stuck, they had to grab onto each other. They could fall over, and always be aware of that. Be ready to grab them and steady them should they fall over, because as far as they're concerned, their unconscious mind is telling them their feet are stuck to the floor, and we don't want them to fall. We don't want them to hurt themselves. So I hope all that made sense. Until next Sunday, or at least a new video every Sunday, so until next Sunday, please stay safe, have fun, and enjoy my YouTube channel.